Coming up on today's show, we're going to check out 3 starters that could be entering their final season with the Cleveland Browns. Now, before we get to all that good stuff, help us take down our like record for the last 90 days, which is 708 likes. Leave us a thumbs up if you haven't already. It really does a lot to help grow the channel. So if you enjoy our content on a daily basis, please do like the video. I know it's super cliche, but it really does help drive the metrics and bring more viewers over to the Browns Report. Okay, first player that could be entering his final season in Cleveland, I'm going to go with offensive guard Joel Bitonio. I don't like talking about this, but sometimes the difficult conversations have to be had, whether you like it or not. First, let's start by acknowledging that Joel Bitonio, who still played at a really high level last year, suffered some major injuries for the first time, at least publicly, in his career. We never know what these guys deal with that never just come out. But he had arthroscopic knee surgery during the bye week. That caused him to miss week 5 against the 49ers, and week 6 against the 49ers. And that was the first game he had missed in nearly a decade. Ended a 100-plus game Ironman streak. Lingering back issues throughout much of the season. We saw Michael Dunn fill in at times, and then battled through a high ankle sprain. Didn't even want to leave the playoff game in a blowout because he wanted to be out there with his teammates despite suffering a high ankle sprain, and left the season, and left Berea after the season was over in a walking boot. So the injuries certainly piled up for a guy that's getting up there in the age column. Now, Bitonio spoke to the media at the Browns golf outing the other day, and he said, "I'm truly taking it 1 year, 1 game at a time. You never know. You know, Joe Thomas played 11 years. I'm going to 11 years now. So it's a blessing every time I get to keep playing football. It's going to be dictated by a lot by how my body feels and how we are as a team as well. But right now, I feel good, and I'm ready for this year, and hopefully I can bounce back physically and have a great year." I interpreted, and maybe Bitonio didn't mean this, but the way I read that is he needs playoff wins, or he may be looking to retire, because as he alluded to, Joe Thomas played 11 seasons. He hung it up. So he's already kind of putting that message out there that 11 years can be a really fulfilling career, and maybe the end of the career for some guys. Wink, wink, possibly me. But that last part about how we are as a team, Bitonio has been here through a lot of losing. And luckily that has not been the case for the most part the last half decade or so. But I'm not sure that he wants to sign up for more losing if there isn't a whole bunch of playoff wins happening right now. So if the Browns win a playoff game or two and feel like they are that close to winning a Super Bowl, then yeah, I bet Bitonio comes back. But if they have a meltdown season and he still battles with a back injury, leg injury, and everything, he may decide, I want to be able to walk like my daughter down the aisle one day or something like that. And at the rate he's going, that may not be possible. I mean, that's really sad, but that's the reality of playing in the NFL and playing in the trenches for a decade plus. So it feels like with Bitonio, it could kind of go either way, but I think a big dependent is how do the Browns perform in 2024. Some more background on him, though, for a second. He's going to turn 33 years old this season. He's a 6-time Pro Bowler. He has made 6 straight Pro Bowls, by the way. 2-time All-Pro. He would have made 3-time All-Pro this year if he probably didn't get hurt. He's got 2 years left on a 3-year extension that him and Teller signed back in 2021. Now, he's got a decent cap hit for 2025. It's over $20 million, so the Browns would likely want to keep Bitonio, but also they drafted Zach Zinter. They may know that this could be Bitonio's last year, and they've got a replacement already in the chamber, and it would do them a lot in cap relief if they get that $22 million cap hit off their books. But Bitonio last year, he was still one of the best guards in football. According to Pro Football Focus, he ranked 19th out of 79 players. So in my opinion, Joel Bitonio can play as long as he wants. I don't think the Browns are ever going to try and push Bitonio out. If Bitonio wants to come back for another season, he's coming back. He has earned that. The guy is arguably, and this might sound a little hot takey, but when you really think about it, it's not that hot of a take, a future Hall of Famer, 6-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, Browns offensive line. Like, he's on a path to get on Hall of Fame ballots. He won't be a unanimous first, a Hall of Fame selection like Joe Thomas was, but he may very well sneak into Canton. And I don't think it's a sneak even. So if he wants to come back, by all accounts, at least in my book, he's more than welcome to come back every single year if he would like. But like he talked about, year 11, a lot of injuries last year. If the body's not feeling great and the wins aren't there, this may be the final season in Cleveland, which is sad to say out loud, but it's a real possibility. Now, who was your first favorite Browns player? I want to know in the comment section who it was. For me, I feel like this question is dictated just based off my generation of who did I dominate with when I played on Madden on my PSP. And I loved using Josh Cribbs back when kick returns were still fun. So let me know who your first favorite Browns player was. Second guy that could be entering his final season in Cleveland, you probably saw this coming. It's Nick Chubb. Again, another tough name to talk about, but we have to be big boys and big girls here and address these difficult conversations. So let's get some background information on Chubb. Final year of his contract. He's returning from multiple torn knee ligaments, like we all know, and he's going to turn 29 years old in December. Let me just start off by saying I sure hope that Nick Chubb is back in 2025. I want to see Chubb return for another season. If Chubb is back in 2025, to me, if that is something that my crystal ball tells me, I can deduce two conclusions. One, he was really good in 2024, good enough to come back in 2025. And two, it's Nick Jamal Chubb. Like, why wouldn't you want him back for another season? Now, I know that when you get up there in the H column as a running back, your average Joe fan goes, oh, he's washed, he's old, kick him to the curb, he can't produce anymore. You're not completely wrong. Like, that is true for a lot of running backs. But can we all agree Nick Chubb is different, right? I mean, he is not the same species as you and I. The guy squats like 1,000 pounds every single June. Now, I did look at running backs who are 29 years or older, because Nick will turn 29 in December, who had 1,000-plus rushing yards. Derrick Henry did it last year, had 1,100 yards. He definitely didn't look like the Derrick Henry that really dominated for that 5-ish year stretch. Raheem Moster also quietly sneaked into that one. Before that, though, you had to go all the way back to 2019. Carlos Hyde, Mark Ingram. Adrian Peterson did it a couple of times, actually, but that's Adrian Peterson for you. And then LeSean McCoy did it with the Bills in 2017. When I look at that list, like, what tier do you think Nick Chubb is closer to? The Derrick Henry, the Adrian Peterson, the LeSean McCoys of the world, or the guys that fall off a cliff when they turn 27, 28? I think he's more like the Derrick Henry, APs, and LeSean McCoys of the world. So if Chubb looks good, bring him back. I'm sure Nick Chubb would love to come back for 2025. Obviously, the financial situation will be a major factor in this, but put money aside. If Chubb comes out this year and has a solid season, that doesn't even mean he has to rush for 1,000 yards. But if he comes back starting like week 4 and puts together 850 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns, yeah, bring back Nick Chubb, because I think he's a player worth holding on to a year too long compared to letting him go a year too early, the Patriots model, because of the impact he's had on this city and on this team since being picked in 2018. So I'd rather be proven wrong by Nick Chubb than let him go and have him go off for 1,000 yards for like the Cardinals next year. That would just eat me alive inside. So what's your prediction for Nick Chubb next year? Or this season, I should say now. Over or under 1,000 rushing yards in 2024? Let me know in the comment section below if you think Chubb can eclipse 1,000 rushing yards. Personally, I'll go with over. Just want to get the good vibes in the world. Obviously, it takes a little bit extra knowledge to answer this question without knowing how many games he plays. So when we get a better idea as we get closer to week 1 when he'll be making his return, I'll give you a much more candid response. But for now, yeah, put me in the overs club. Third player that could be entering his final season in Cleveland, Amari Cooper. For some similar reasons to Nick Chubb, like Chubb, he's entering the final year of his contract. He's also getting up in the age column. He turns 30 years old in June, which is just kind of crazy to think about, that Amari Cooper was the 4th overall pick, I think, in the 2014 NFL draft. Nick Chubb, 2nd round pick in 2018, and they were 1 year apart. or was Cooper in 2015? Still, like Amari Cooper is really, really young for how long he's been in the career. Now, Cooper the last 2 years combined for 2,410 yards. That is 8th best by all wide receivers in the NFL. I would extend Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper has shown us the last 2 years in Cleveland that he has a lot of good football left in him. And honestly, it feels like he's kind of just scratching the surface at times with the way he plays. So I'd like to see Amari Cooper get extended, right? You look at what he's done the last 4 years, and he's played some of the best football of his NFL career, regardless of who's at the quarterback position. So to me, I'd like to see Amari Cooper come back, but we have to acknowledge the business side of things here, and he enters a contract year. He's going to turn 30 years old in June, and the Browns just traded and extended Jerry Jeudy. I still think they can afford Cooper and Jeudy, but maybe they decide, you know what? We put a lot of the budget for our wide receivers in Jerry Jeudy, and we like to see more from Elijah Moore and see if he can make a return because he's got age on his side. So I want to believe that there's a way they can pay Cooper, Jeudy, and maybe more, but probably unlikely to run it back with all three guys in 2025. But if I had to pick two to run it back with, yeah, of course, I'm taking Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy over Jeudy and Moore. Now, maybe the Browns, do some advanced planning here, and they extend Amari Cooper now, and that kind of frees up a need for them in the 2025 NFL draft. I know I'm thinking way ahead, but just stick with me here because they're going to be back in round one for the first time since taking Greg Newsome in 2021. And when they return to round one, I'm sure Andrew Berry will be itching to go get a really highly, touted player. And if they re-sign or extend Amari Cooper, wide receiver is no longer a pressing need for them. And that could free up their first-round pick to be allocated to, say, left tackle, where Jed Wills could very likely be gone after this season. And then you reset at left tackle, and you've got a cheap left tackle for the foreseeable future. Whereas if you let Amari Cooper go, now you got to use that first-round pick maybe on a wide receiver, and left tackle is a vulnerable spot for you, where you could go left tackle in round one, extend Cooper, and if you want, you can double dip back in round two for wide receiver. Every single draft class appears to be getting better and better at the wide receiver position. Before we sign off, I just want to show some love to some recent subscribers here at the channel. Alex Norman, James Stewart, Lisa Riley, Ricky Gaming, and Robert Cole. Appreciate you guys for joining the channel. If you want to get a shout out, hit the sub button down below. We do some shout outs every so often here on the channel, so really appreciate those of you that took the time to hit the sub button down below and hang out with us here at the Cleveland Browns Report. All right, let's bring out producer Trizzy Trace. Trace, which card do you want to go with?
I'm liking the 7 of spades.
7 of spades?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go with the Jack of diamonds. Okay, you ready? Jack of clubs.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Jack of clubs. And I really felt good about the Jack selection, too.
Dude, that's a bad break.
That's nightmare fuel. Okay. We're going to bounce back. That will do it for us on today's show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Leave us a like if you did, and we'll be sure to catch up with you guys later here on the channel.